Hi, I'm Harry Hemingway.
I'm George Hemingway.
I'm Dan Hemingway.
This
This is
TrialTube.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So we've been lucky enough today to catch up with Harry Hemingway, and straight off the back of his Sheffield debut. Now, Harry has been gracious enough to agree for TrialTube exclusively that we're going to have an honest conversation about how it felt to A, ride and debut at the first time at one of the world's biggest indoors, and B, really give our audience how it would feel to be in that position. So, Harry, welcome to the channel.
Hi, it's an honour to be here.
First and foremost, let's do the sponsor thing and get it out of the way. Is there anybody you'd like to thank before we get going?
To be fair, there's everyone I'd like to thank really. I'm not going to spend too much time. Obviously Beta, who I ride for, Hebo, Apico. The main ones, my main financial sponsors, so there's Riverside Quarry, 331, DC Air Conditioning, Timberland Sheds, and yeah, that's it really. That's the main ones.
Basically, and mum and dad.
Yeah, and mum and dad obviously. Yeah, you've got to do it.
That goes without saying. So welcome to TrialTube, George, and thank you for coming on.
yeah. Cheers. It's great to be here.
Now, George, your own riding career has been absolutely, shall we say, chocked full of good times and good results so far. Obviously due to an enormous amount of hard work, but at the same time, shall we say you've got the world's best training partner, because I've got a brother and now it feels you've got an everlasting amount of training time, right?
Yeah. Well, pretty much as you said, really. You know, Harry's a brother. He's pretty awesome, really. You know, we go out after an evening on school nights, really, and we just train. I try to do what he does because he sets some pretty hard sections. So I try and do what he does, but you know, it's hard, really.
So you get dragged along a little bit.
Yeah. I am, pretty grateful for that because really for like Harry, he hasn't really got anyone above him, so it's good to look up to him and do his sections.
Getting down to it, there's an enormous amount of history in the Hemingway family, being on two wheels in trials, and no more history than the two brothers that came before these two brothers, Dan and Ben Hemingway. Now, Dan has also taken some time out today here at today's Road and Trials Meet the Hemingways event. Dan, how does it feel to have a Meet the Hemingways event?
Very different. Very different. I don't know, it's a real strange thing. When we first started this journey with the boys, I never thought well, I knew we were going to go somewhere with it, but honestly didn't know how far we were going to go with it. So to come to this sort of event now is really nice and a really proud feeling. You know, something that, you know, I know that Emma and I have done, because ultimately it's a team. It's not just me and the boys, it's myself, my wife Emma, who puts in equally the same amount of effort as I do. So as two parents, to see my two boys outside doing demonstrations and signing caps and posters for the next generation, it's a very nice, proud feeling. Yeah.
Today, the interviews that we're going to be having with your whole family, we're at Road and Trials, and we thought that this would be a really good chance for people to get to know you, because obviously they get to see you riding, as fantastic as it is.
Yeah.
But they don't understand sometimes how much hard work goes into that, the time that it takes to prepare for something like Sheffield. So when did you feel like your preparation for Sheffield started, and when did you get the nod that you were riding?
So I got asked if I wanted to ride Sheffield right after I just won the World Championship in Cahors. So from then on, it was flat out on the big bike training, because that was the last event on my 125. So I came home, did that, had my first day at college, which again got my gym membership next door. So I've been flat out gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, so 4 days a week. And then I've been riding every day, up in the barn, and then obviously weekends flat out, same again Saturdays, and obviously we have a normal local trial on Sunday. But yeah, we spent 2 weeks out in Spain before Christmas, which really boosted us before the event, which is where you've got to be, really.
Do you feel, in all honesty, even with multiple gym sessions, hours upon hours on the bike, traveling to Spain, bikes upon parts, upon time taken out, upon training, I'm guessing also with a few sleepless nights, do you feel it was enough?
To be honest, you can never say you've done enough, because it's one of them things, like such a big event, and at 16 you can't prepare enough for it. But I did everything I could, with obviously college work and everything, so I can't be disappointed in myself. But yeah, definitely there is more that you want to be doing, that's for sure.
Now, we've just done a live demo outside, and I can see that there's still that genetic competitiveness there. Does that ever get in the way?
No, I wouldn't say so really, because at the end of the day we are brothers, and especially this year in the World Championship, you know, I was in his class, he was in my class, and we both wanted to win really, but you know, you got to treat him as a competitor really. At the end of the day we are competing each other, but after the trial's finished, you know, we're fine, we're brothers.
We're
yeah,
fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, obviously, you are completely right. Trials or any sport to become successful in is a family effort, and I can completely agree with that.
Yeah.
How does that affect your dynamic as a family? Because, you know, I'm going to put it bluntly, you guys are trials first, life second, and that can be quite the strain, right?
Yeah. It can be quite, well, I think it's brought us together as a family closer, if I'm honest. I'm not saying we live in each other's pockets, because the lads have got a little bit of a life outside and, you know, trials as well. They've all got, you know, after school friends. George goes to the gym with his mates, Harry goes to the gym with his friends, you know. But as a family, you know, I think trials and our unit, as professional as we are, which I like to think we are quite professional, it's brought us closer together. You know, we still enjoy going out for meals together. Everything that we do is surrounded by a team effort. So, and I think that, you know, it's that old adage, isn't it? You know, if you're an army, you're a team. You keep together, you eat together, you sleep together, etc. I'm not saying that we're, like I've just said, we're not in each other's pockets, but as a team, we do as many things as possible together.
Yeah, the family that trials together stays together.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Aside from trials, obviously your brother was presented this year with an enormous opportunity after winning the Trial 3 World Championship to debut at Sheffield at the DL12 Indoor Trial. Now, for you as a competitor, but mainly as a brother, I'm guessing you would have been a key part of the preparation for that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I got to share pretty much all of it really. Started off with the barn. We built some sections, I helped build them. And then every night, you know, we went to the barn, I saw him train, and I have seen an improvement in him really. And then on the night, I was backstage, warming the bike up, getting everything ready for him, and I was quite happy to be a part of that, you know. He's done pretty well for himself this year, especially with the Trial 3 World Championship win. That's an amazing achievement, and at 16 for Sheffield, you know, it was going to be hard for him. First real indoor, and he did pretty well, really, yeah.
Any nerves for you?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I personally don't really like watching trials if I'm not riding. I was probably more nervous than Harry, just watching him really, because I know what he can do, and I know if he makes mistakes how he's going to feel, because I can see him react to that.
Now, debuting there at 16 years old, there's so much to take in on the night, and you said to me prior off camera that you felt like the entire experience was gone in a flash. Is it possible to try and describe that?
It's honestly the weirdest night of my life. Like, all through the day I was looking forward to it, proper excited, no nerves at all. Like, practice area felt mint, everything was going good. Walked the sections, thought, yeah, that's good. Knew there was a few hard ones, but I thought, right, logs, rocks, tyres, I can do them. And then it was weird. Like, I stepped out in front of the curtain, just saw everyone, and went, right, it's real now. It was when we were lining up for the race actually, and I felt mint. And then I obviously one of the first out, and I didn't know that I thought they were going to count us into the race. And Brian Higgins, who was doing it, he just went to me, right, you're on your own, you're ready when you are. And I just went, oh, like, this is it, we're here now. And so I just, from then on in, everything went like that, and it was the quickest night of my life. And I didn't think about anything I was doing. It was very strange.
Debuting Harry at the DL12 Indoor was an enormous achievement, not only as a rider, but as a profile, as a professional rider and professional athlete, for not only Beta, but also for Harry himself. And being so young coming through the curtain, let's be honest, there was a certain amount of enjoyment there, but also I think pressures that were very new to Harry.
Yeah.
During the 7 minutes that he was out there, because I think people don't really realise that time, although so short, can feel like either a blip or a lifetime, depending on how you look at it. Yeah. How did you feel when he, shall we say, crossed the threshold of the curtain?
I think the actual realisation hit us a lot more than we expected, if I'm honest. Leading up to it, we were quite. Harry was really cool and confident leading up to it. Whether that was a false, something he was giving me that was a false impression, I don't know. But leading up to it, Harry was really cool and calm. It was me who was losing my head a little bit. We had a couple of issues leading up to it, which I won't go into. But and Harry actually turned to me and said, "Dad, there's nothing we can do. We just have to pull our socks up, carry on, and what have you." And he kept me level-headed. Then when we got to Sheffield, like everybody had said to us, it goes in a blink of an eye. You think you get there at 9 o'clock in the morning, you think you're going to have all the time in the world. You don't. You're constantly busy, especially with Jake's schedule. He had signings and stuff like that. So everybody was kept on the toes. And then eventually when we finally went out of the curtain, I think it hit both Harry and I a lot more than we actually thought. That crowd, Sheffield crowd, home lad, the cheers and the encouragement from that crowd, although fantastic and much appreciated, it was overwhelming, massively overwhelming, especially for Harry. I think he realised that, going into the first section. So, yeah, it was a much bigger stage than we initially thought. We didn't take it for granted that it's Sheffield, it's DL12, the new indoor, and it was a big stage to be on. Yeah.
So the DL12, obviously the sections were super technical, and I could see that in many places I feel like maybe there was more to give. And I mean, let's talk about that. The first section that you went out into at the DL12 was the log section. Now, halfway through there was a bit of a mishap where you lost a bit of bark on the tree. We saw that up close, and it slipped out. Just talk to me about the feeling of the first section and how you felt when you were in the moment and when you just were about to leave that section. How were you feeling?
such a weird feeling, to be honest, because I lined up for it, and normally when you line up for a section, you go through it in your head and you plan everything out. But for me, I normally do that anyway, and I was lining up for the section and I just set off into it with no thought or nothing, because my head was thinking of 1,000 things. Anyway, I jumped onto the logs on the top, rode down, did the turn nice, and then as I was setting off, I just like fell to pieces really, and I set off on the angle, jumped onto the logs. Obviously a little bit of bark went, which didn't help, but obviously I didn't land on it perfect. And as soon as I landed on the floor and I was laid on the floor, the realisation hit that just fived the first section on one of the easier parts, and it's not normally what I'd do, but yeah, it's one of them. With so much going on, it's such a hard thing to do.
How did you feel when you rode off?
When I rode off out of this section, it was a very strange feeling, because obviously I just realised that I'd fived the really stupid part, but then it went like that, and that was it. And my mind was back to doing 1,000 things again into the next section. So I hadn't cleared my head of nothing. I just went into it, mind racing, not thinking about the same thing, and I did exactly the same again on the pipes. Normally, where I just have no care in the world and go onto the back wheel and turn it, I got on there. I couldn't hear a thing Dad was saying. That's not his fault. That's just me. And it just, it didn't go as I planned.
On the evening itself, I think you could see it in Harry himself, and we've just spoke about it as well. There would have been an enormous flood of emotion on the evening, and it's one thing to know that the crowd is behind you, but at the same time that can be its own battle. To be the best you in 5 minutes or 7 minutes, sorry, for the sections, is quite the emotional roller coaster. How did you feel you handled that after the fact?
I think, he did pretty well, because going into the event, he told me that, I know Harry, I know that nerves don't really affect him, especially in the World Championship, and he was saying to me that he felt all right, and then as soon as he went behind that curtain after, he just said, that was a whole new experience, the whole crowd and everything really. Even indoors, riding indoors is not easy, with the lighting, and it wasn't actually too grippy really. With it being on an ice rink, it's hard, and especially with the crowd, you can't hear your minder, you can't hear what he's saying, so you got to deal with that pretty well.
I think people often misunderstand the enormity of not only how dangerous the sections can be, because we saw the man himself, Tony Boot, go down in the section.
Yeah, he had a big one.
So I think in some ways, leaving the arena in one piece is a challenge in itself, right? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, to leave Sheffield with no injury, it's hard. Even the best, Tony Bow, he had a pretty big crash. Well, 2 crashes really, and injured himself slightly. So I think he was pretty relieved when he came back. He was pretty gutted really to not get through a section, but at least he's still riding and fit.
Sheffield's also been a staple part of trials since 1996. Yeah. Almost a legendary event prior to its rebranding as the DL12. There's been many, shall we say, legendary riders that have crossed the sections inside that arena.
Definitely, yeah.
For you in the past, because obviously I know Ben was a minder. Have you minded as well at Sheffield in the past? Yeah. Now minding your son. Mm-hmm. Did you personally feel the pressure a little bit more?
If I'm 100% honest, the emotions came afterwards. It's my job at the end of the day, and I've got to keep it as my job. I've got to keep it sort of half professional. So when I minded for Jack Chandler, I had the same sort of feelings. I've got a job to do, and you concentrate. You're so engaged and focused on your job in hand that you don't really have that time for anything to take over. Even though it's Harry, my lad, and everything else, I probably put more pressure on myself, if I'm honest, because I want him to do better than anybody. I want Jack Chandler to do really well. When I minded for Ben, I wanted him to do really well. When I minded for James Adler, I wanted them to do really well. But because it's Harry, I want him to exceed what I want him to do, and that probably takes over a little bit more. So and I don't know whether I showed any disappointment. I was far from disappointed with Harry's ride, because I wasn't. I was super proud of what he did, and I thought he handled everything really well. But at the same time, both Harry and I were so disappointed that we didn't get through a section. Because he didn't, you know, let's be honest, he didn't get through a section. And we were both so disappointed to a point where we wanted to stay afterwards and practice them. We didn't get that opportunity because you can't. But yeah, the emotions afterwards were massive. You know, I came backstage and gave him a massive hug. But then that's when it all hits you. You know, during the event, you're solely focused on what Harry's doing, because you have to do it for his safety and to make things as easy for Harry. I've got to make sure that I'm hitting every point that he wants to be lined up on and things like that. So you don't really think of it then. It's just afterwards. You know, afterwards, yeah, I'll admit, I had a little cry. You know, you do. I hugged him, I had a cry. I was gutted for him, but I also was so proud of him. So it was an emotional, proud cry, if that makes sense.
How much other parts of your life do you feel that you need to have in control before you can get into a situation like that? Because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that your life has to revolve around trials. Yeah. So what's it like for you outside of trials prior to an event so big?
Basically, prior to an event like Sheffield, I was eating good all the week up to it, running up to it. My preparation, I didn't go in the gym that week. I just had a week off the gym. I rode up until Wednesday. But you've got to, like, all my mates are going out and everything, but at the end of the day, my career's trials, and it's what I love to do. So you've got to look at the bigger picture and think, right, this is what I'm doing. So you've got to just take it on the chin and get on with it, really. And to be honest, I don't miss it. I absolutely love trials. It's what I want to do. So it's definitely something that I'm going to try and take further into my life.
Going forward, do you think there'd be anything that you'd do differently in the preparation for Harry? For the next indoor? Because there's going to be a next one now. Yeah,
there is. Yeah, we go to Germany this Thursday coming for the ADAC trial. And yes, there is a lot of things I would do different. You know, we obviously, you might have seen, we've got a facility where we can practice in a barn. All we solely practiced on was getting up big steps and control on the back wheel. I wish we'd have done balancing technique in awkward situations. You know, knowing now what happened at that trial, it isn't the steps and things like that. It's the balancing in awkward positions that Harry needs to focus on. So yeah, we've talked about it, and we've actually been back to the barn, and now we've scaled back a little bit the sections, and we've concentrated on the more technique and technical areas and balance. That's what we need to do.
Basically, being at the highest level, which people don't understand, is you can't just be good at one thing, you've got to be good at everything.
You have to be good at everything, and also you have to have an old head on your shoulders, because when I look back at the videos, because I am quite anal and I have studied all the videos from Sheffield, because that's what you need to do. You can't just leave Sheffield and go, yeah, we had an all right day and we didn't do this. You need to know why and what we did. So we've obviously looked at stuff and we've studied videos. And when I look at the lines that some of the older lads have taken, I wish I'd seen that. I wish I do see them, but Harry also, he needs to learn that sometimes you've got to ride safe as well as flamboyant, you know, whereas when we got to Sheffield, Harry wanted to do everything on the back wheel, and I wish I'd just seen that you could just go to sump and use an odd toe dab that was missed by the observer, and lean here and lean there. You know, we thought we had to do it clean cut. So yeah, there are things that I would definitely change, yeah.
Sometimes the ends cards are more important than the way it looks.
Correct. Yeah. But Harry's also got to learn how to ride a little bit older, if you like. You know, Doug was not a flamboyant rider. Doug went from A to B without losing a section, without losing a mark. That's what his end goal was. And sometimes, you know, I've got to try and get that across to Harry. He's 16 years old. That's going to come with time. You know, we need to learn how to roll. He needs to learn how to ride a little bit older than his years, if you know what I mean. It's a hard thing to say, but you know it. You know what I mean.
I do completely. From a push bike perspective, prior to TrialTube, and because some people didn't even realise that was my job. Yeah. Prior, still is. Yeah. Sometimes being the best looking rider comes at a price. Yeah. And that price is you didn't win.
Tony Bell showed that. He is the best looking rider. Look at what happened.
Yeah.
2 big fives. Adam Ragger, is not the best looking rider, but look at how wily he was and how he how he managed his situation, how he managed that whole trial. You've all got to learn from that. Everybody can take a lot of learning from Adam Ragger and how he rode that trial. You know, Jamie Brustow probably off the scale with his how he rides, you know, but he's also got to learn from Adam how to manage his trial. And that trial, for me, Adam managed superb.
He deserved the win for
Definitely.
being an experienced,
Yes.
calm individual in a moment when, let's be honest, he won a trial because Bustow couldn't win a race.
Because Bustow lost the trial. Bustow lost the trial. We could not. Bustow did not have to win that race.
No.
And Adam, if Adam would have been put in that situation, Adam would have known he does not. Did you ever see Doug race? Never. All Doug did was get from A to B in the most economic time he could do. If he won the race, it was a bonus, but if he would never lose a mark. Whereas poor old Jamie, he wanted to win the race and ended up fiving it, and it cost him the trial.
Older shoulders.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Older,
and that comes
wide.
with, you know, why does Doug win Scotland? All the shoulders, you know.
Older shoulders, still maybe riding ahead of his time.
100%. He knows how to manage his days and his week, you know, and that's what I'm trying to get across to my two at the moment. You know, you can learn so much more. I've tried to teach them as well to not just watch a rider, but watch wheels, a rider, and where they're ultimately aiming for. You've got to study everything. You can't just watch the ride. You've got to watch every part of it and listen to a bike as well, because you can tell so much more from listening to a bike, how it's ridden off the bottom, how it's ridden to get the grip. You know, there's so much you can learn from listening to a bike and watching rider and bike. You know, you've got to. It's an art. Studying trials is an art.
And a passion.
And a passion, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the bike preparation that you've got going on as well, because everybody knows that the factory beaters have got some poke and a little bit more going on, but I feel like they're a bit of an unsung hero, because a lot of the bike, apart from the power plant, the engine, is pretty normal, right?
Yeah, so obviously I'm now on a factory 300. The engine's obviously factory prepared, and to be honest, it's an absolute animal. I absolutely love it. He just pulls and pulls, big gears, and it works so well. But everything else, apart from that, like everything's standard wheels, forks. My forks are the same beaters, shock, everything's the same. So to be honest, it's only the engine that's different. And for me, having ridden that, it works so well, and I absolutely love the bike. And it's good for everyone. Like there's bikes, like the factory 300 is perfect for your expert Trial 2 and even top class British Championship. There's nothing they can't do. But then your standard models with like your 200 and your 250, perfect clubman bikes. I mean, you can't get much better than what they are.
So what you're saying is, this is just for my own gratification of previous videos, if you were a normal Sunday rider, shall we say, you know, that are sportsmen, the guys that prop the sport up, that are consumers in the sport, shall we say, would you be running out with a load of money burning a hole in your pocket to buy a 300?
Personally, I definitely wouldn't. I mean, I ride a 125 and I will be doing it in Scotland, and it's all you need. Because club trials, there's no big steps, and it's not necessary to have massive bikes. Like my 125, I absolutely love it. One of the beaters, one of the strongest engines out there for a 125, and it's something that it's necessary. It's not necessary to have a big bike for a club trial.
Did you hear that? Now, completely on the other side of things, today is a very special event here at Road Trials for Meet the Hemingways. How does that feel to yourself to be, I guess, shall we say, a headliner at today's shop?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's pretty amazing, really. Especially even the little things like signing stuff, you know, it's a completely new experience for me, really.
A humbling compliment, maybe?
Yeah, yeah, no, I enjoy it.
Now, I know obviously you're still on the 125, still plenty of time left on the 125. How do you feel the 125 beta compares? I know you're a beta factory rider, and also off camera we discussed having the most honest conversation possible. But the beta factory engines are often quite admired. How do you feel yours differs from the standard bike?
Yeah, well, with mine, we try to keep it the same, but the factory do a great job, you know. There's a little bits changed, really, here and there, to make it that little bit better. But honestly, it is. It's not far off a standard. You know, the Beta bike is, I'd say, the best out there. To be fair.
Do you feel it's well tried and tested?
Yeah, 100%. You know, they have been trying it for a while, and I think they got it. They got it pretty well.
No, the Evo is the best Evo it's ever been. Straight from the horse's mouth, yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, George, I'm going to let you get back to your public. And, well, yeah, just do me a big favour and just say for me, hi, I'm George Hemingway, and this is TrialTube.
Hi, I'm George Hemingway, and this is TrialTube.
Now, I'm very sure people are wondering as they're watching this what the noise is in the background, because we may have a nice setup here today, but today is an actual event here at Road and Trials celebrating you guys, the Hemingways, like a Meet the Hemingways day. And, you know, I think that so far you can hear the activity outside this room. I think it's going well, don't you?
Sounds pretty good to me, yeah. It's a fantastic facility down here. I mean, they've got everything. All your bike needs, like, and today to have us down, it's an honour to be here. I mean, they've set a couple of skips outside, and we've been doing some demos, and yeah, it's a proper good day out there.
Has it shocked you, the reaction to people getting involved with the event? Because there's quite a lot of people here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, to be fair. I was quite surprised. There's been quite a few people coming in, meeting me and George, having signatures and photos and everything, and for a 16 and 14-year-old lads, it's pretty special, to be fair, and I'm loving it. Yeah, it's mint.
So once again, thank you very much for your time today, Harry, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you in a bit, and we'll see you a little bit more during the episode.
Sound job. Cheers.
Do you feel the boys riding, has that rekindled your passion?
No, I've always loved trials. I've always loved motorsport, whether it be trials, extreme enduro, mountain biking. I know it's not motorsport, but anything with two wheels, I've always loved. This has given me an extra. You know, Ben and I, we had a fantastic career with Ben and I riding World Trials Championships and British Championships, Scotland, and then I minded for Ben. Then Ben and I went extreme enduro riding, and we had an amazing 10 years at that. And then I was lucky enough that the boys then came to the fruition of British champions and then European champions. So it's another chapter in my life of two wheels. And this chapter is surpassing what we thought.
Well done. Thank you very, very much for your time. And before you go, just a quick one. I'm going to edit it in somewhere. But can you say for me, hi, I'm Dan Hemingway, and this is TrialTube.
Hi, I'm Dan Hemingway, and this is TrialTube.
Mega.
Okay, let's party.
So we've had lots going on today here at Road and Trials, and we thought we'd do a little exercise where we're going to find out what the differences are between Harry Hemingway's Factory 300 that he rode Sheffield on and 300 that you can buy straight out of Road and Trials. And Harry's going to talk us through. Isn't that right?
That is right, yeah.
So it's all on Harry.
Yeah.
Not me, Harry.
Okay, so controls. Up the front of my bike, I run the Renthal Trials bar and the Renthal medium grip. Honestly, I really like this grip and bar combo. I would never use anything different. I'm quite touchy with how I run my bars and grips, so I stretch my left grip to 150mm and make sure my grip wire's perfectly spaced out, and my levers, you'll notice, I bend them up quite a tiny bit. Just makes me feel, I just prefer the feel of it when I've got all of them. So, the standard bike. Obviously this bike doesn't come with Renthal grips and bars like I put on, but overall, it's the same feel, although I do really like silver. So, forks. As you can see, both my bike and the standard bike run the Paoli forks, and there's nothing different in them. But, however, the clamps on the factory bike, which come standard on the factory Beta, are CNC machined as opposed to the standard ones. Obviously they're gold and these are black. But overall, they both run the same 2 and 1 pin setup, and they are the same size and weight. And my forks, I pushed mine through a bit, and it just helped me on the back wheel and with indoor stuff.
So do you think that's going to help a clubman?
I personally don't think so, because I push them back through for streams because it makes it a bit twitchy, but it's just personal preference. So, tyres. For this year, the 2023 standard model now comes with Michelin tyres, which in my opinion are the best tyres on the market, and I wouldn't use anything else. I run the X-Lite front tyre because I feel like it moves a lot more freely and nice, but the X11 rear tyre because when you're out in Spain and it's really warm, you don't want that movement in the rear tyre, you want it to be as stable as possible. So, disc and sprocket. As I ride in the FIM Trial World Championship, they have to meet the standards of the FIM. So, they can't have any holes in. So the discs I run is a Galfa disc and the Jayco sprocket. And for me, the Galfa disc and pad setup is absolutely unreal. I change my pads out quite regularly and I've had no problem braking at all with this setup. So obviously, with the standard and the factory model, it's the same size, same shape, all the engine looks exactly the same, however the material's different, as the factory runs a magnesium casing and a red cylinder head as a bit of blip. But at the end of the day, the bike's absolutely perfect for any rider, so you know that it's not the bike, it is the rider.
Now, Harry's ran through a few different parts of the bikes there that are, let's be honest, same but different. But off camera, we were just actually talking about the fact that some of the parts on the new Beta, although very rare, I think, this year, some of the bits that we like. So, Harry's going to point a couple out.
Okay, so obviously there's some new aesthetic looks on the new 2023 model. Starting off with the silver master cylinders, and to be honest, I'm a really big fan of these. I think they look well cool and retro. So the new bike also has a new colour swinging arm this year. It's silver with a brushed effect, and honestly, I think it looks well stitched.
So once again, I think you'll agree that we've had a very different TrialTube. The event today at Road Trials with Meet the Hemingways, which is epic when you're 16 and you've got your own event going on, so that's pretty cool. We'd like to thank those guys for putting that on today, because they're not in the room right now and we can say anything. But there's been a lot of action today, there's been plenty of people here to watch.
There has actually, it's been a good turnout, hasn't it?
Yeah. The weather's behaved, and hopefully you enjoyed the very honest interviews, which Harry hasn't actually seen George or his dad's.
Yeah.
So I'm very sure
about it.
Could be anything. I think it'll be a very keen watch in the Hemingway household. Hopefully maybe in the future we can maybe redo my dream build video, but actually get somebody who could ride the bike to do the infill bits for Geordie Terrace.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be able to have learned a little bit about the differences between Harry's bike and this year's 23 standard bike, which I'm pretty sure you'll agree is there's not actually many differences between Harry's bike and a standard bike, which, does that say it's more about the rider and less about the bike? You could say that.
There's nothing wrong with that there, that standard 2023. Definitely.
Friendly and retro cool, is that what we're going to go with? Friendly and retro cool. We're not going to have a 2023 bike on a full review on the channel as well, because I'm bluntly honest as always, but I still like it, and we're going to put it up against a different bike, which I think you'll be surprised what we're actually going to do the verses on, so watch out for that. More content to come as always. We've got some interesting stuff that we're going to finish off at Harry probably won't know about. We've still got a 315 build ongoing, 315 RTL build ongoing, because that bike, it's taken us 18 months to find the parts for, but it's epic. It really is. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't yet, please like, share and subscribe, and you can follow the guys on Instagram on their handles, which is
Harry_Hemingway7 and George_Hemingway5. So yeah, there you go.
And his dad hasn't got one.
That does actually have Instagram, yeah. I think he's just Dan Hemingway.
Just Dan Hemingway. No numbers at the end.
No numbers.
Epic.
No.
Icon.
Simple and easy.
So, keep up with the guys anyway and what they've got going on. But for now, thanks very much. We'll see you again on TrialTube. But until next time, any words of wisdom?
Keep your front wheel off the ground.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like.